Steve's News and Opinions. All right, I'm going to have some links below. I would strongly suggest that you go and look at least at the pictures, at least on BuzzFeed. It's a little more graphic, but not really that graphic, so you can kind of make up your own mind, because we don't have a lot of evidence in the story. As usual, we have to fill in the blanks. And this story, there are so many emotionally charged things in it. There's actually a lot more things to break down in this story, but some people, I feel, which is what happens in many cases, is they'll simply see one small piece of this story and make a quick judgment. But what is this story? It is, let me read it, named and shamed college student 19 who tweeted photos of a woman being sexually assaulted on a sidewalk just a block from the police station, but did not stop to help. Okay, before I go ahead, and I'm going to read the full story and probably read the comments, some of the comments below. Now, what happened here is, if you look at the pictures, there is a woman, okay, and there's kind of an outcrop or whatever from a bank. It says, "Welcome students." It looks like Chase Manhattan Bank, I believe, and it looks like a branch office or something. And she's up against it. She's up against the glass in the back, and there's a man kneeling, okay, and there's several photos and everything. And another, it's pretty clear, although you don't see what he's doing, you can infer what he's doing. He is on his knees while she is sitting and then propped up with her hands to help her support herself up against the bank, and she is receiving oral. And this was photographed, as many, in public, pretty much anything in public now. Everybody has their smartphones, which are fantastic at taking video, pictures. And right off the bat, one person in particular, notice from the story, Heartless Vance Blank, 19, tweeted to a friend, "It was fun while it lasted. When the image he took went viral, he took it down because of the growing row." Another, I mean, as you can see, so let's go ahead and read the story. I'll do a lot more comments in here, but there's a lot more to this story, and all I ask is people have an open mind. I'm not asking to change anyone's mind, but just keep it open, because there are a lot more issues here. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started after all that. One of the onlookers posted a picture on the internet of a girl being allegedly sexually assaulted on the street. Rather than help her, bragged afterwards. "You don't want to get embarrassed. Don't do stupid stuff." Mail Online can relieve, and it's Mail Online, which is one of the links below. You can see how this story is making this guy horrible. But one of the questions, like I said, I really want to break this down and get some feedback. If two people are having sex, now I'm just going to flat out tell you, and the reason I asked for, hopefully you've already stopped and taken a look at the pictures if you can, is if a woman is up against, looks like she's kind of sitting, leaning up against the bank, and onlookers, according to the story, said that she seemed coherent and cooperative while the man was on his knees giving her oral, would you think that this was something that you needed to stop, interfere, call the police? This was a sexual assault. Okay? Supposedly, as well, read more into the story, but you can already see how they're making him a monster and calling it a sexual assault when it doesn't seem that way, and because he's taking a picture of people doing something in public. So this is, I mean, privacy. If this is something, well, anyway, it should have been done. This shouldn't have been done in private. But there's anyway a lot more to this story. Let's go ahead and continue on. I already read this story. With no sign of repentance. See how this is all about him taking the picture. Now, with no sign of repentance, he joked with another pal, "Oh God, haha," after she tweeted that he had become famous on the internet. Well, first of all, a couple quick things. I know I'm interrupting a lot, but really that's what I'm going to do in here, give my opinions. Okay, she, as we'll see down the story later, seems to have no recall of the event. So this picture did two things. First, he interfered. She probably wouldn't even known what happened because it wouldn't have become an insult. But if something really did happen, if this is some kind of assault or something, then now she has some kind of evidence of it. But he's a monster. Vance also said that he had to shut down one of his Twitter accounts because apparently I used Twitter too much, so I deleted it. It was only when he realized just how offensive his posts were did he tell one user on Twitter, "I am ashamed," and have issued a statement with police apologizing for being immature. Now, the things he said, I won't defend, because he's being a young man that thinks that he's jumped on something. But now he's gone. But notice what's happened with this young guy. He's being completely insensitive, and now he's just spun completely around, and he knows what to say. He's come in and said, "I was immature." He's apologizing like a small child would. So he's going from one extreme to another. He was responding to a tweet from a former OU student called Kelsey Doyle, who wrote to him, "Maybe when you grow up, you'll understand how ashamed you should be." I'm still, for what he said, maybe, but for the pictures of two people having sex in public, it's in public. The college student was one of at least two people who shared photos of the alleged sexual assault at Athens, Ohio, during an Ohio University homecoming on Sunday. There's just a lot of issues to dig in here. The woman seen receiving oral sex in the photos and videos reportedly had no idea what happened to her until the next morning, when she saw the photos online. About 10 people were watching the sex act taking place. Many of the pictures have been taken down by the Instagram users who originally posted them, but news sites like BuzzFeed have republished them. They also have tweets and stuff. You can make up your own mind. And once again, I have the BuzzFeed link below, and there's a link in the first story to the BuzzFeed if you want to go that route. But as you can see in this story, so there seems to be, he's a horrible guy because he took pictures of what seemed like very consensual sex of a man on his knees giving oral to a woman in public. Already we're seeing that the monster, supposedly there was a sexual assault. I don't know. I wasn't there. Neither were you, I don't think, unless you're a witness. And please, if you do, please say something. But how about the guy that supposedly did the sexual assault? This is another thing that gets me. People are so angry at this guy for taking photos of her. Okay? But where's the anger at the guy that supposedly did the sexual assault? And I'm going to say something else right here. There are few things that you could say horrible about a man that are worse than rape, except to a child or something. It's even worse. But that's horrible. Rape is bad as pretty much as bad as it gets. Okay? And the idea that the possibility, once again I don't know, that this woman could have gotten embarrassed by what happens because it was photographed, and then say it's sexual assault. Another problem I have is make up your mind. Do you remember what happened? Really? Or you just blanked out and a guy did oral on you and now you're embarrassed by it because there's pictures? See, I don't know. We don't know the woman. We don't know the guy that did the oral. He seems to be almost unimportant. Have you noticed how unimportant the guy on his knees is doing the oral, which is supposedly the crime that's happening, is in this story? Anyway, I'll continue on. Police have confirmed that a sexual assault was reported on Sunday, but they have not said if the victim in question is the woman seen wearing a green top, jeans, and brown boots in the photos online. Look, you have to look at the photos. If you're turning a corner and you see this and you're in public, society the way it is, depending on what city or where you're at, and I guess a college campus would be even more, they think that there's a couple performing some kind of a a little show. Everybody's coherent. They seem reasonably well dressed and everything. It doesn't seem so. I mean, how do you? I don't know. But anyway, reading on. Mail Online can reveal that to his parents, Vance is a completely different person and claims that he puts God first in his life. We've gone to religion now. You know somebody's in trouble when they start playing the religion card, because because you know what the next thing is. You know, God has forgiven me, so how can you hold it against? For taking pictures and saying some rude comments. A high school volleyball star. Notice how they're not on the guy that supposedly did it. I mean, it's this guy that took the pictures of it. He is the monster. Which would be evidence to help the girl. But anyway, whatever. A high school volleyball star. He proudly stands next to them in one of his Twitter pics. Mail Online has reached out to Vance's family and Bethel Park, PA for comment. Once again, he didn't do oral on this woman. He took pictures and made rude comments. Like the others who were represented at the time, did nothing to stop what they were seeing and instead reached for their mobile phones, which is what everybody does. The most striking image shows the most striking image shows the man kneeling in front of the woman as she leans against the Chase Manhattan Bank. And she's got her arms, you got to see the photos, because you just simply have to make your own decision on that. That's kind of important to see the photos. It gives some kind of an idea. It came from a Twitter account called Ivy Vance, which has been deleted by Google Cache. Reveals everybody who Google. This stuff is stored. Anybody who thinks they're going to delete anything off the internet like that you are sadly mistaken, because that is not happening. It has the same biographical information on it as Vance's other Twitter account, Vance Joseph. Making this guy the victim. They're making him the monster. He just took pictures and made some insults, but he's the guy that needs to be put away or something. In an exclusive interview with Mail Online, Vance said that he just happened to be walking along the street when he saw a girl allegedly being raped, and said that he had never met her or her assailant before. What? He said there were a few minutes, he took the pictures and posted online. Let's read some more, because I don't think that he thought they were being raped. She was being raped. Vance said she was awake, she was not passed out, and I have heard rumors that she was passed out. That was not the case. So I think the person writing the story is just so tilted that this guy is a monster and that she was being raped that he's now putting words in this guy's mouth. Because he's like, she's looked like she was awake. She was responding. Okay, Vance said she was awake. She was not passed out. She's getting oral sex. This isn't the position that most people think of rape. Let's just get that out in the open. Okay? Could have been a sexual assault, but it just doesn't, it's not fitting your standard profile here. Vance said that he deleted the image soon after and gave the police a statement. He said, I told the officer that I put this picture up, and when I realized how serious it was, I immediately went down to the police and helped them. I'm regretting it. I realized my mistake. If there's any way my name could be kept out of it, I don't want anything to happen in terms of my being able to stay in the university. I'm worried about this. This is my education. They're trying to destroy this. Where's the effort to, literally, where's the effort here to find the guy that was on his knees giving this girl oral sex? Is this more about embarrassment or sexual assault? And here's another problem. Okay, this guy gives these statements, which is evidently getting twisted. We haven't really, there's a little bit we hear from the girl later, but not much from her. And once again, the guy who's supposedly the monster, supposedly the person that's causing the problem, isn't in it at all. So, on October 13, the day of the alleged sexual assault, Vance tweeted the image of the caption, "So I witnessed this girl the other night. This is the photo." Vance sent it to @Huntmore, who is a man behind the notorious, now shuttered, revenge porn site Anyone Up. Well, that doesn't sound very nice, revenge porn, does it? The whole idea of throwing pictures of people that he knew. I hate that too, but people are pretty crappy. So it's the now shuttered revenge. What does that mean? Shuttered? I guess that, as in closed down, I assume. He also tweeted at Stewart. I'll just skip over it. User who goes by the name of the Animal House, who seemed to be an OU student and puts on parties. When the story went viral, Vance was initially belligerent and tweeted, "You don't want to get embarrassed. Don't do stupid stuff." He later wrote, "Had to delete that pic though. It was fun while it lasted." And later still, "Don't have the pic anymore. Someone posted a video." A few days later, he wrote, "Apparently, I used Twitter too much, so I deleted it. When friend sent using the BuzzFeed article later, 'Dude, you're famous,' he replied, 'Oh God, haha.'" To his family, by contrast, Vance is a model pupil and an Ohio student who is a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And they're showing some of the tweets here, right? And there's also tweets on the BuzzFeed also. And we've already gone through this stuff. He played high school. This is a guy. We're going all in depth on a guy that took pictures of a woman against a bank getting oral sex by a man on his knees, and this is the monster. I know I keep saying it, I just can't believe it. He played high school volleyball, talks openly about his love for his girlfriend, and seems every inch the loving son. He recently tweeted, "Bethel Park is bigger than the Storm Squad, bigger than USC rivalry. It's a family. It's supportive." He also wrote, "When I die, I know I'm going to heaven because I've spent most of my life in hell." But the day before he took the picture of the girl being assaulted, he tweeted, "I like the weekend because the only responsibility I really have is to not get arrested." What Vance did or did not do is now in the hands of the police. The caption and the photos indicate that the incident happened in the Court Street in Athens. The same street is where a school marching band performed earlier that Saturday, with a large crowd filling the streets. After seeing the image posted in Vance's Twitter account, one user wrote, "Still can believe a dude was on a Court Street Saturday night in front of like 10 people." Adding to the outrage in Athens is that the scene of the alleged crime is a busy street, but it is also 1 block away from a police station. They keep, how is that? Well, anyway, I've said this like 20 times, or many times already. Police are still investigating the case, but the community is already going on the attack. I mean, leave a comment what your opinion is about this. Like I say, you really do need to see the pictures at least before you do. Some of us are really angered and disappointed that no one intervened and they just filmed it, said Ale Irwin, a student at Ohio University who leads an anti-rape group on campus. I can't wait to get to the comments below here. Their first impulse was to share it on social media and make a mockery of something that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to her. Is this a sexual... I mean, first you have to confirm that's what happened. Okay. There are other people who saw it as her asking for it and think it's a joke. Basically, they're slut-shaming her for what happened, she said, according to Metro. All right, let's just stop right here and break this down a little bit. There are people saying who saw it as her asking for it and think it's a joke. It looks like consensual sex. Why are people going to panic about consensual sex? That's what it looked like. All right, if they were both inebriated at the time. Basically, they're slut-shaming. Who has a right to privacy in public? This is... let me put it to you this way. If this is really rape or sexual assault or anything, the guy needs to go to jail. But this... once again, they're even though they're calling it this, they seem to keep wanting to go to her as the victim. They seem more interested in her as a victim than even trying to catch this guy. You notice how this is? The response of social media is kind of heartbreaking. How harsh and cruel people are. Public sex, do it in private. And they don't care about the guy. Notice is he a criminal? What about his embarrassment? What about finding out that he's, or all of a sudden he gets, you know, what do you think about this guy? What if it was just consensual, completely 100%? He goes down on her in public. He goes away. And now he's a rapist. My gosh. I don't know that we have a set time yet, but we have a time frame we're working with. Police Captain Ralph Harvey told police local paper, the Athens Messenger. We're looking at every aspect and everything that could possibly be a factor. Whether alcohol was a factor or not may or may not have a bearing on the investigation. So it's not something we would focus on especially initially. Let me insert this right in here. When I was in the Air Force, and when I went to Montana in the late 80s, some people informed me when I got there. They said, hey, if a girl has a drink of alcohol, don't even think of doing anything, because they're trying to pass a law in the state to where if a woman has any kind of alcohol in her system or drugs or anything at all, that she can't give consent. And then that means that yeah, if she drinks any alcohol at all, that she can say that you raped her. And that's even if she consents, she can't legally do it because she had alcohol. And this, like I said, this is the late 80s. Yeah, I'm an old guy. And so, wow, that was pretty crazy. And that law ended up getting overturned, but and later, actually, I think it was when I left the state, or maybe it was then, around the same time, is there was a wealthy guy and his daughter got into some situation, and she said, this was like maybe a few weeks after or something, this is my recollection of it, that it was rape. And it could have well been, but they were saying, well, she was drunk, so how does she know? So, and these are real problems. I want to make sure that everybody understands that these are real problems. You have some women that get, but here's the bigger problem. Okay, you have, on the one hand, you have women that do get raped and physically, mentally, spiritually shattered, and some don't even go because they don't want to deal with it. They just go away and don't go to the police. They don't do the things they should do to put somebody away because they've just been broken by it, and they don't want to tell their parents, and they're just in a bad spot, and they've legitimately been hurt, but they don't go to the police, and then of course those people get away, and then they do it to somebody else. And then there are cases, unfortunately, of women that claim they get embarrassed, okay? And there's actually a fair amount of this happens. Not all women do any of this, okay? But I'm just telling you, not all men rape. Let's just get there too, okay? Most don't. But some women get embarrassed. There's been documented cases of even kids saying their parents did something to them. Just on, and then later you find out it's not true. I mean, we've all seen it in the news. So that's a problem. You have to sort out the truth. All right, let me continue on. We're looking at every aspect and everything that could possibly be a factor. Whether alcohol was a factor or not, maybe or maybe not, bearing on the investigation, so it's not something we're focused on especially initially, right? Because if you get two people that are inebriated but somewhat coherent, I mean, how coherent do you know? And also, you know how drinking is. You can be fine now, and then, you know, it takes another, 5 or 10 minutes for the alcohol to fully kick in, and you can be really gone. So Mr. Harvey said that the videos are being used in the case, but that no means equates to an open and shut case. Any videos have been viewed with a grain of salt, even if they are actual videos, because while it's generally believed the video doesn't lie, it's one perspective on something. Also, videos can be manipulated now. That's another problem we're having. Before it was like, well, if it's on tape, but you know, you've gotten to the part where people can manipulate things. You know, you have the software and everything, so you have to really watch it. A lot of times you get some piece of evidence that's the smoking gun, when in reality it leads you to something else and makes you question something else and you thought was an absolute positive truth and maybe not. Mail Online has reached out to Captain Harvey. All right, well, it's kind of a warning. The police are kind of telling you, like, well, you know, you may see a piece of evidence and just jump to a conclusion, but that may not be what's it. I mean, before I start reading some of the comments, I hate the idea of anybody getting forced by anything, rape, whatever. I hate it. I also hate people getting falsely accused of stuff, and I'm just going to flat out tell you right there. So it's a scary world, and of course it's in college, so now you got people that are really experimenting with alcohol, and yeah, you can see how it is with a lot of strangers and a lot of things going on, and you know, public, and that's another. I mean, just another obvious thing is you know, how many people do things in public like that? It's he's on his knees in public giving oral sex. It just doesn't fit the bill of what most people think. But we'll see. All right, let's read some comments. Now let's see, and these are not comments. I read some comments earlier, and these are brand new. So we'll just see what they are, and I'll read a few of them, and then we'll go ahead and end the video, and then you can leave some comments on my video if you want to. So, are you telling me that there weren't any women watching it happen behind the cameras? Highly doubtful. And I'm not going to list the name of the people. I'm just going to go down. There's more comments. This is how our society was deceived, manipulated, and led like sheep to the local witch burning on Saturday morning. Another comment. Behaves like an idiot, looks like an idiot. Enough said. So this is embarrassment. This is one of the factors that some people are so angry that this woman has been embarrassed. Another comment. Our world has become sick and twisted place when people are more interested in videoing a crime and posting on a social media site than intervening or calling police. God help the future generation. If you think, well, was there a crime? I don't know. It just, for the photos, don't look like it. She may have been raped. He photographs, publishes it, and all he is worried about is his education. Gosh, his parents did a good job there. They must be so proud his photograph is in the newspaper for all to see. Once again, it's about her embarrassment. Another comment. The quality of a person measured by how he or she reacts to unexpected events. A decent human being would have called 911 and stayed with the girl and made sure she was okay. She's getting orally sexed from a guy in public, and she's coherent. And there are other people. It wasn't just him. You notice how they said there are at least 10 other people, and probably people came and went while this thing was going, and it's all on him because he embarrassed her. Do you remember an education standard use are so low that all but the absolute dumbest will get into college? What's that got to do? Sad that no one stepped in. Was she crying for help? Was she forced against her will? I'm confused. I think that is probably the best thing. Confusion, because it's not fitting the bill here. If I'm correctly understanding the images and the context in which they were taken, this may be the last comment, because this one actually may be pretty good. In which they were taken, the person cannot know if this was an assault or a candid moment caught on camera. Very well put. There has been many shown on these pages before. If drink and drugs were involved, then it is unfortunate, but the images taken may help trace the offender. So again, the person with the camera is an aid, not to be the subject of disdain in this situation. Young people plus alcohol equal bad situations. Just add cameras and the internet and the events will last much longer than any hangover. And that was from MH414 from London, UK. That really sums it up. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. This is a problem. We want to help people, but good grief. And this is another thing. Some of us are trying to actually figure out what happened. Okay? And as I said in the beginning, and other people simply see they come to these stories wanting to see a rape story. They want to see the woman as a victim and the man as a victimizer, even if he's on his knees in public giving her oral, which doesn't fit the profile. And she seemed to be coherent. Like I say, it's this is a problem, and the embarrassment. But like what he also said, it's not a temporary embarrassment. This is something that woman is, and putting it in perspective, if she's wanting a teaching career, if she's wanting some kind of there's a lot of careers that now people are going to be able to go to the internet forever and click on there and go, oh, okay, there you go. So there you are. But anyway, at least the pictures I saw, that they were more implying what was going on than actually being too graphic. So we'll see. All right, it closes out. Okay, I do these stories. This is a way to. I'm a news junkie. I like to read news, try to figure these things out. You can read comments. These videos tend to be kind of long. This channel, I'm still trying to get focus on it and do a lot more stories. I'm going to try to at least do something every day, because there's usually 2, 3, maybe 5 interesting stories. I have a lot of varied interests right now. It more seems to be stories about what's going on with women, but things will branch out. But anyway, that's going to be it. Your comments would be awesome. This is Steve's News and Opinions, out.